Hey guys, what's going on? It's Next on Deck, and I'm trying out a new series today. It's going to be called Auto Stories. I'm not really, sure on the name yet, but that's kind of what I'm going with. I mentioned it in the kind of the end part of the podcast, where I just kind of go through like my autograph stories and kind of what I've been through because I've been autographing for about 10 or 11 years now, which it seems like a while. Yeah, I'm just gonna go over like my best stories and kind of how I got, certain people, how I got to meet them, whatever. But so today I'm talking about probably one of my most prized possessions is Bryce Harper here. I'm gonna take it out of the case here so you can see it a little better. But hold it up right there. There we go. So this was kind of a it's not really a long story, but so it's pretty early, obviously, in like when I started autographs. So I started around like 2009, right after the Phillies got to the World Series. Because I'm obviously a big Phillies fan. That's kind of where I started because my dad then started showing me like his old cards, and I was really getting into it because that's when I was, getting into sports in general. And baseball was like the first one I kind of jumped at. So then, like, my dad's friend, Mr. Greta, some of you might know, he is also a big collector. So he's a Pirates fan. So he was showing me all this like autograph stuff of all the years because his dad did it too, and it was so cool to me to see like all the people they met and like the autographs they got. And so yeah, so I was like, where are you getting most of these autographs at? Like, I don't see how you're meeting all these people. And he told me that like through the like TTM, which is through the mail. So he just sent them to their house or whatever, which I thought was I was like, how are you finding? I was like, this kind of weird. I was like, how are you finding like their house address and stuff? But there's this site called sportscollectors.net. It's a really cool site. You guys should check it out if you're interested in starting to collect autographs or just baseball cards in general or any kind of card, I guess. So yeah, that's kind of where people post like who signed for them in the mail and like the address was, how many cards they signed, stuff like that. So it's a really cool site, and he also told me that he did a lot of autographs in person. But some of the like when you go to the major league games, they're obviously a lot harder to get because there's a lot more people and it's kind of professional, so they're more focused on the game than just signing autographs for fans and stuff. So he would always go to the minor league games, but like the AAA, the AA, the single, stuff like that. But I was clueless. Like I didn't know what I was doing. So for like the first year, we kind of went to like Harrisburg Senators games together, which you guys don't know. That's the AA affiliate of the Washington Nationals. They're only like 15 minutes away from me, so it's really nice to have that stadium like really close to us, and kind of get access into that. So they used to have a thing where like after the seventh inning you could go in for free. So like we would clean up, we would just go in after the seventh inning. We were trying to get the lineup card and stuff. And there's like these they have the two locker rooms, and then there's like a standing area, where you can stand and get autographs and stuff. So like there's the home locker room, like the Senators one, and then there's the visitors one that goes out. So like it goes out, they walk past and they have to walk onto the bus, and people just stand in the like right obviously between the bus and the visitors locker room, which all have a lot more stories about that. But that's kind of where they stand. And then the Senators players, like their locker rooms are here, and then the parking lot is like, as some of you know, is like on the other side. But they have a long walk, so they have to kind of walk past people. But that's where we kind of clean up. And then Mr. Greta was telling me about this guy named Bryce Harper, who was drafted like number one overall by the Nationals. He was like just cleaning up in the minor leagues, and everyone was trying to get his autograph and meet him, and everything like that. So it was crazy. Like I did not expect when I went to the Senators game. Like even so, like we went before the game because we were gonna try to get before the game and after the game. Which before the game's a little more risky because they're trying to like prepare for the actual game. And then after the game, they're just kind of more chill because they might not sign because they're tired or they just don't want to or whatever, but they're more willing to because they don't have like to prepare for that game or really anything to necessarily do. Um, so yeah, that's kind of like we wanted to go before the game because we wanted to try to get him as many opportunities as we could because we know it would be tough. So we went. I forget. It was one of his first. It was one of his first games. I think it was against the Richmond Flying Squirrels, which is the Giants AA affiliate. Um, so we went before the game, and I was just trying to do like I was not expecting him, like I was not expecting to get him that day. Like I just brought a ball just in case he was there because I didn't want to get him on a card because if like you probably want some of the more valuable players like a Mike Trout or someone like that on a baseball rather than a card because a baseball is worth more. So like I'll show the ball again, but like right here is kind of where like the sweet spot is, like where you want people to sign the baseball. So it kind of like to me it kind of like individualizes that person and it makes it like really special because it kind of like when you look at it like and you look at that auto you kind of think like the memory you had getting it or the kind of player um you know that you got it from. So yeah, that's kind of why I brought like a baseball with me. But then I was just working on I love doing like team set cards. Some minor league team stores will sell them where it's just a team set, it's just a card of like every player on the team or whatever. And I love completing them because to me it's like it's almost like a video game where it's like you're trying to pass every level. And to me, like I don't want to say like a player's a level, but each card that I get signed is closer to like completing like the game or like the set. So it was really cool to me to do those. So I was just working on that. So I was just getting players like before the game because there's this huge crowd of like probably 200 people, and if you guys like have been to the Harrisburg Stadium before, the road to get like the home team like autos like the Senators like before the game, it's not that big. It's like probably 3 or 4 sections, but like the players really only go to like 1 or 2. So everyone, like probably 200 people, are crammed into like this one section just to get Bryce Harper. But no one else is going after the other players because they don't care about the other players. They just want Bryce Harper. So I was getting like some people. Well, because there was just still some valuable players like on that team. If people don't remember, some players that are like in the major leagues today or were in the major leagues at some point. Like here, I'll list off some of the names. So, like Oliver Perez, who he pitched for the Mets. Ching-Ming Wang, which was a big one for me because I was collecting, or I'm still collecting, the 2010 Topps set, and Ching-Ming Wang was one of the cards there, and I believe he was rehabbing, so that was a big one for me. Tanner Roark, who pitched for the Nationals for a while. Brad Peacock, who's on the A's now. Pudge Rodriguez, he was there for a little bit, which was crazy because that kind of player I've never had that close of access to. So I was really excited to get him. And, some people were, there to get him too. But those are the kind of players I was focusing on, really. I was not thinking about Bryce Harper. I mean, of course I was thinking about Bryce Harper, but I never thought I had a chance in the world to get him. So, it's the second game, and he's warming up, and he seems super focused because he probably still a little nervous just because, like, he's kind of new, and he wants to live up to the hype everyone's giving him. So he's kind of stretching out, and, like, of course, everyone's calling his name, and, like, everyone's holding up signs and stuff like, Bryce, Bryce, whatever. But then he starts walking over, and I'm like, you get those butterflies in your stomach, like, when you meet someone famous, like, he's starting to walk over, I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, he's coming. And I'm like, because we got there like right as the gates open, so I'm right at the front, like I'm directly, so like I'm right here and then there's like 200 people just like around me. he starts walking over and he like takes off his glove and like tucks it under, and like I'm like, oh my god, I was like fangirling over him almost. And he walks directly up to me and he just takes, well, because I mean, think about it, I'm probably 11 or 12, so I'm still, you know, a little kid at this point. And you know, little kids obviously they clean up when it comes to autographing. But you know, then he signed that ball really nicely. The pen's kind of fading a little, and that's why you know, I keep it out of direct sunlight, because you know that's what you're kind of supposed to do if your ball starts fading a little bit. But I can't really tell. But he put his number 39, as you see right there, and I think he was trying to put a verse, but I don't see what verse he was trying to put. I know you guys don't have as good of a view on it as I do, obviously, because I have it with me. But you know, let me know if you know what verse that is. But yeah, it was super cool. Like that day was amazing. Like that was probably one of the best days of my life, honestly. Like that was so cool. And then like you know, I'm not really like too greedy when it comes to autographs and stuff. Especially with a guy like that. If I get one, like I'm happy. So then I tried to like, you know, this like, you know, I didn't really hit my growth spurt until like later. So I'm probably like 5 foot at this point at like 11. And, you know, I'm this small little kid trying to like get through this big crowd because I wanted other people to get him too. Cause I knew how hard it was going to be for people to get him and how far some people came to get him. So like I was trying to maneuver out of this crowd and it took me a while, but I got there. So yeah, that was kind of the story of me, like kind of, I mean, I did meet Bryce Harper, but I didn't really get to talk to him, obviously, just because he was busy signing autographs, you know. I just kind of said, you know, like, thank you, Bryce, and he's like, no problem, man. He was a really cool dude about it. But you know, to be honest, after that, like, he was kind of a jerk, but understandably, because he had so many people following him at all times. So like instead of coming out of that main locker room, like I said earlier, he would like, you know, go like out other exits, or he'd like get security people to like you know, kind of escort him or whatever, which, you know, makes sense, and it's totally like understandable, because I can't imagine like me having like 300 people trying to get my autograph at one time. That would be way too much for me. So I totally get it, but yeah, that was kind of my story of how I got Bryce Harper, and it's so cool now. It's so weird that he's like on the Phillies now. Like I never thought he would be, but it's so cool that like I still have this. You know, I sometimes like look at it just in my spare time, just because I just think it's so beautiful. But it's a game used ball too, because you can kind of, you know, put it up to the camera a little bit, but you can kind of see the dirt on it a little bit. So yeah, it's official Major League ball. But I would never sell this. Just too many memories. It was like my first. It was kind of like my first autograph, like cornerstone, or like you know, kind of my breakthrough for autographing. Because up until that point, I was just getting, you know, minor leaguers that were like maybe make it to the major leagues, maybe AAA, but whatever. So like that was kind of my story of how I got Bryce, and you know, how I really got into autographing. So comment down below if you'd like to see more episodes on this series. I have some pretty interesting stories I think you guys would like to hear. So just let me know, and thanks for tuning in to Next on Deck.